Welcome to episode 64, Dear or Dare. Unless you turn on closed captioning, you won't know what the fuck this blog episode is about. Well, how's that for driving home a point and making it just about compulsory that you turn on closed captioning? Internal joke. You dare say I'm creating a mandate that's infringing on your freedom to not turn on closed captioning and I'm gonna be shouting 62 at you. Seriously though, especially since blog episode 63, the bottom line is that I'm just being blunt about my view that it is a necessity that you read the closed captioning if you really want to understand my blog. And I want to point out that I use the word read in the last sentence so I don't have some smart aleck commenting that they turn on closed captioning like I asked, but I didn't say anything about actually reading it. You know, because I'm so conscious of being misconstrued, I tend to oversell things, meaning I explain a little too much. Another way of saying it is that I explain just past the point of my explaining being necessary. The result is I tend to explain to the point of making the listener wonder if I think they are dumb or wonder why I'm giving away so much unnecessary information that perhaps should be private. I use the word private here because I know a couple of people who basically don't seem to understand what private is when they start talking private stuff in public. Anyhow, all this reminds me of a joke a friend of mine was telling the other day where the punchline came after a wife who was mad at her husband retorted to a comment he made by saying, "Don't you dare me." And he responded, "Well, I always call you dear, dear." So my friend and I got into a discussion about how often it is that people misunderstand what others are saying because of a different interpretation given to one or a few words in a sentence spoken by the initial speaker. It's like at the beginning of this blog where I use the word or the phrase just about compulsory. Some might have thought I meant nearly compulsory that they read my blog episode with closed captioning on. But some might have thought I meant I would be talking about or defining the word compulsory all throughout this blog episode. So, if the husband had interpreted the wife's retort as being, "Don't you dare me," we don't know to what extent the argument could have unnecessarily escalated. Misinterpretations and misunderstandings. They can arise from something very simple or something as complex as described in my next blog episode.